Yeah, we had the easy money for a long time. The last 10, 12 years, we used to the 2, 3, 4, 5%. Haven't seen a true, 6%. If you look back just over 4 decades is normal. There's nothing too crazy. It's the inflationary environment that's definitely the combo of that is definitely hurting.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hustle on Purpose podcast. My name is GT Ikard, and today we have a very special guest with us, Kunal Khatri. Kunal.
Yes, sir.
Did I say it right? I always feel like I'm messing it up.
Got it right.
I'm so Arkansan to the core that anything other than like Jim, I feel like I'm just going to mess it up. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to get to talk to you today. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. But for those people out there that don't know you, just give us a little bit of background on yourself, where you're from, what you do, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. I was born in India, raised in Africa. And
where in India and where in Africa?
I was born in Bombay/Mumbai.
Okay.
And at 6 years old, I was adopted by my aunt and uncle. There's a whole story behind that. But the short version, then when I was 6, I went to Africa. My parents sent me, who adopted me, sent me to the U.S. when I was 18. And I came to the U.S. in 2002. I've been here about 21 years now. So, I'm a project engineer, project manager by day for Garver Engineers, and do a few other side hustles, getting more involved in real estate.
Yeah.
So that's exciting, a little backdrop.
Man. So where in Africa?
So it was in Ghana, West Africa.
And so walk me through the jump at 6 years old from India to Ghana, West Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, my real dad, I never got to see him. Sadly, he was a womanizer. My mom tried to work it out with him. Didn't work out. So she married this other guy, my stepdad, who initially was really nice. He was very kind to my mom and helped my grandma. And so, I thought, working out, she married him. And he was good for a while until found out he was a closet alcoholic and a chain smoker. So he started abusing her and abusing me. And my mom, obviously being, by herself in that world, she was going to try to work that marriage out, but she didn't want to see me get hurt. So she called her sister, my aunt, up, who had come several times to visit India. So I knew her even at a young age. And she asked her if she would basically take me in, because she was going to try to work hard on that marriage and see if she could change my stepdad. So at 6, I was on a plane all by myself going from India to Africa. And I still remember where I was in, I think I reached Lagos, Nigeria. And I wasn't sure. They're like, are you getting off here or in Accra? And honestly, I wasn't sure. I said Accra. Thankfully, I was right.
Oh, goodness.
So my little layover didn't stay over,
Thank goodness.
And then my soon-to-be adopted parents, my aunt and uncle, which they never treated me like an adopted son. If I say that out to my cousins, they'll just kill me, for saying that, because they never think of me that way. Yeah. But I only say that from time to time just to bring up, the history and, God's faithfulness through it all that. So, that's how I got to Africa in 1990.
Wow.
March of 1990, yeah.
And then, so stayed there until you were 18. Was the plan to always go to America at 18?
Not always, but I think somewhere in my teenage years, in my heart, it was like, okay, one day I'm going to America. And it started growing. I can't really pin it down when, but it was definitely a thing that was growing, because I was actually supposed to go to med school back in Ghana, and I was enrolled in it. And I got the admission, which is one of the hardest things. Over there, you go to med school direct from high school, so it's kind of combined.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Here you get a basic degree or some kind of pre-med degree and then go to med school. Over there, it's kind of combined as a 7-8 year program. So to get in is very difficult. And the fact that I got in, but I wanted to leave it all just because I had this desire to come to the U.S., which I had a set of stumbling blocks there too, but eventually made it to the U.S. because my brother was going to Europe at that time.
Okay.
And because I was adopted, in my heart, he was working hard. He didn't go to college immediately after graduating. He worked 4 years to help support the family. Over there in these cultures, everybody works hard to support the family.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to take away from his going to Europe. And so I was trying to work hard to get my scholarship and all these things on the side. And but yeah, so I came to the U.S. when I was 18. A one-way ticket just to Miami. From there, I took a Greyhound bus, which is another story of it. So,
so when I think of Ghana, I don't know much about it, but I've never imagined there being a large Indian community.
Mm. Yeah, no, there is actually
really?
a lot of these, if you want to call it third world countries or these countries, developing countries, a lot of the big cities there have a lot of great business owners that are foreigners.
Gotcha.
So that could be, like I met someone yesterday, they were from Lebanon.
Yeah.
We had a lot of Lebanese friends that own a lot of hardware stores and all in Ghana. So a lot of these expatriates, if you want to call it that, they own a lot of these big businesses in these countries, and Indians also. So a lot of these countries, it's not abnormal, and Indians in particular, because I think we're the second largest populous country. So I joke that we're like ants, we're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah. That's funny.
So
a lot of people will travel to these developing countries with the interest of starting a business?
Yeah, or it could be like my dad who adopted me. What happened was he was hired by an Indian business owner, really big business in the country, and he was hired as a sub-manager of some division, right? So he comes, he works, pays his dues, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to branch out, I'm going to start my own business. And that's what happened to him. He worked for a decade for his boss, and then 10 years later in the 70s, he started his own business, restaurant business.
Gotcha. Cool. That's exciting. That's interesting because, like I said, I would not have pictured a large Indian population there, but it makes sense. Okay, so you land in Miami, you take a Greyhound. Where do you go?
Oh yeah. So the little backstory to that is I had applied. Thankfully, I really did well in high school, and I had one of the best grades in the whole West Africa.
Wow.
And the reason I'm telling that story is because I used to go to the USCIS, which is United States Center for something, which helps you basically get into these colleges, the local thing there. It's a division of the consulate, the embassy, U.S. consulate. So they're always helping students, And I applied to all these bigger schools that generally give, at that time it was like $40,000 a year worth of tuition, room and board, and scholarship. Yeah. And if you had good SAT scores, which I did, almost close to 800, which is like the ACT is what, 36?
Yeah, 36 is perfect.
I was like
ACT,
a 34, 35.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, this is a no-brainer. I'm going, right?
Yeah.
But the funny story of it all is that people with lower grades than me were getting in. And I was getting somehow denied, or I would get the admission but not the scholarship, and it was just some hodgepodge going on. And so finally I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to med school. I'd worked a whole year on, even lost a year because I graduated high school when I was 17, so I used a whole year to do all these exams and do extra exams, SAT 1, 2, all this stuff. So I was disappointed, and I decided, okay, I guess I'm just going to med school, which most people would die to go for.
Right.
It was a very limited pool. But I was obviously dejected because I was like, oh, man, my dream's to go to America.
Right.
So one day I'm in town casually, and I met my friend's dad, my friend who was 2 years ahead of me in high school. I was like, hey, where's Tony? He's like, hey, he's in Arkansas. I'm like, where in the world is Arkansas? Yeah, I'm like, he's like, it's in the U.S. It's next to Texas, Bill Clinton state. Everybody knows Bill Clinton. There you go. He was very popular. He actually had visited Ghana, and so everybody knew Bill Clinton. Kind of a charismatic personality, and in the international world, they really loved him. So I was like, oh, okay. So he gives me Tony's contact. I contact him, and lo and behold, he was going to Arkansas Tech in Russellville. Yeah. So I contacted him, and I applied, and I got the admission.
From Ghana all the way to Arkansas Tech?
Yeah, I got the admission. But what the weird story is that this time I didn't have the money because obviously I was trying to get those scholarships because I didn't want to, mess with my brothers. I felt like, he needed to go first, And So his dad told me, he's like, yeah, Tony went with $0 and he got a scholarship. So in my brain, I'm like, if he went with $0, somehow I'll convince my parents that if they give me $1,000 and a plane ticket, I'll be all right. And don't ask me how I did it, but I did. And then like a week before I was leaving, I had the visa, everything. Tony calls me. This is my friend who came with $0. And he tells me, if you don't have the whole semester fees, don't come. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So I never told that part to my parents.
Yeah.
Because I knew they wouldn't let me go.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just figure it out, risk. Just take the risk.
Just get me over there.
Just get me over there. And so to that point, I was trying to save as much money coming in. They had these student tickets, one-way tickets, because obviously my goal is not to go back.
Right.
And the
burn
one-way
the boats.
ticket, burn the bridge, burn the boat. And it was a $700 ticket, one-way, from Accra, goes through London and gets you to Miami. I was like, just get me there, bro.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out from there. I didn't even think of anything else.
Yeah, just get me there.
And so I get there on a Friday. I'm like, oh, wait, I only have $1,000 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And obviously I went to inquire about those internal flights. Last minute, they're out the wazoo. I was like, I'm not going to give up my $1,000 just to get a flight to Little Rock.
Right.
So I found out about the Greyhound, which somebody had told me about. It was $132. I paid a cab $4 or $8 to get me to the Greyhound station. Almost got robbed that night. But then I took a 32-hour bus, 3 transitions, saw the ghetto parts partially of America, and made it to Russellville on a Monday morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, just flying into the U.S. with $1,000 in a dream to get to Russellville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then you meet up with your buddy in Russellville, and he's like, "What are you doing here? You have $1,000 and."
Yeah, I didn't even meet him for a few days. He pretended like he didn't know me. It was pretty bad.
Come on, Tony.
Yeah. And then later on, he stole mine along with other people's social security number. The story gets weirder, and he took out loans in people's names, and supposedly he was a Cracker Jack student, and he was, but he was trying to impress some girl, and he got in big trouble later on.
Wow, that took a turn.
2-3 years down the road.
All right, so we don't hang out with Tony.
Yeah. So Tony like pretend like he didn't know me, so he was no help to me.
So you didn't know anybody?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody. I get on the campus and I'm walking around, and the guy who I had met on the Greyhound, some military guy, he told me everything about how Social Security works. He told me about Salvation Army, and he told me this one line that really brought tears to my eyes, because when I was in London having the transit, I was like, if anybody who is so confused doesn't know what they're doing in this moment, I'm leaving everything. My dad, I never had a problem. He took care of us, and in Africa we were doing pretty well. But I was just internally, there was some chaos. I just was looking for something more. I was like, why am I doing this? What is the reason? So I was in tears in London. But then on the way from Miami to Russellville, and then I was like, well, I'm here, I better figure things out. And somebody even offered me a job on the side to get off on Naples. He was going to pay me cash or something.
Oh, in Naples, Florida?
Yeah. He's like, if you get off, you can work for me, whatever, I'll pay you under the table. So here I'm learning fast track about America, under the table, cash, Social Security, financially. I'm learning everything, how to apply cosigner.
The first thing is just like, yeah, man, come work for me under the table.
Yeah. And so thankfully I denied him. And then, but this military guy, he was telling me everything. He's like, well, the worst case, just go stand in front of Salvation Army and, they'll help you out.
Yeah.
I thought, man, that's pretty bad. I'm in a really low spot in my life. Here I was sort of living like a king in Africa,
Yeah.
I have the reverse Eddie Murphy story.
Yeah.
He came.
That's so funny.
And then I learned so much. And then I get on the campus. And it's a Monday morning. Classes start like Wednesday, Thursday.
So this is right before the semester starts?
Right before the semester. I just showed up. I did have all the legal requirements, the visa, the admission, everything. I just didn't know how I was going to pay my fees.
Yeah. So you go to like a counselor's office and they let you in?
So what's funny is I'm going to see if I can do my orientation, right? And so I show up. They're like, oh man, orientation just started 30 minutes ago, but don't worry, there's another one tomorrow, Tuesday. They had 2 sessions. I said, okay. So then I start walking around the campus. I'm passing by the cafeteria, and I meet this tall, hippie-looking guy. His name is Ted. He's from Philadelphia, and he's just starting at Tech. He was a second semester. Okay. He's doing emergency management, which I didn't know that's a well-known university.
Oh, Tech for that?
For that. Okay. Excuse me. So, and then it turns out he had traveled the world, and he's curious about me. He's like, where are you from? He's like, oh, come on over to my dorm. So he takes me. He was a RA, resident assistant.
Yeah.
And so I kind of told him a little bit about, how I had come without giving all the details away. He's like, well, you can just stay with me for a couple of days till you figure things out. So here I'm. Technically, he's even not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Living in an RA's room. And nice. He starts helping out instead of Tony, this guy, Ted, who later becomes one of my best friends. He was
Shout
my
out
best
to Ted.
man. Yeah. He was my best man at my wedding. Yeah. And it starts there. But in the next 3 days, I go on a major journey. People start hearing, hey, here's this crazy guy who came and he's got everything, but he doesn't have all his money together. So I was thinking, most people go to a community college. So I was thinking I'd transfer to a community college. And so I sat down with a number of people. They're like, you could do that, but the problem is the semester is starting now.
Right.
So how are you going to transfer? You could do that next semester.
Right.
And you can unenroll, as in then you become illegal. There's kind of that legality aspect
for your
of
visa?
it. Yeah, and all that. So it's kind of like a catch-22. So then I thought, well, I tried every angle. I was like, hey, I could work in the cafeteria. I could do this, which I was willing to do.
Right.
I was like, but I wouldn't make enough to pay the fees,
right.
Compensate, because it's out-of-state tuition, And,
out-of-country tuition.
Yeah. They treat out-of-country as out-of-state.
Yeah.
In-state, out-of-state.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could share a room with the guys who live off campus and all that. But even with all that, it would still be really tight.
Yeah.
Because you have to maintain 12 credits. Whereas, if you go to a community college, you can take 12 credits but then you can the cost is much lower. That's the big difference.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, I made a mistake. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I called my parents up. I was crying. I was like, I'm so sorry. I made this mistake. I'm just coming back home because I still have medical school admission. It's about a month out. They start in September. And my mom's like, are you crazy? You're not coming home. We always knew your dream was to go to America.
This episode of Hustle on Purpose is brought to you by Arkansas Real Estate Buyers. If you have a problematic piece of real estate, we would love to help you. Go to the description, click on the link, schedule a free consultation with me personally, and we'll get you set up. Now let's get back to the show.
And so I was like, well, what am I going to do? She's like, don't worry. Well, Indian women, it's not uncommon. They buy a lot of gold. That's their asset, jewelry.
Yeah.
So she sold her part of her jewelry and sent me that first semester fee.
Wow.
Yeah, transferred it. And I started working in the cafeteria. I was rooming with 2 other people.
Yeah.
And by the time the first semester was over, I was eating ramen noodles, cafeteria meals whenever I worked, because you get a free meal every time you work.
Yeah. And
I had saved up $1,300. Nice. So I'm ready to go to community college.
Right.
Next semester. But there's another twist to that story. So that's how my first semester started.
Goodness gracious. But it speaks... a lot of what we try to talk to people about is like, there's almost always a way. Sometimes it takes having your back up against the wall or like burning the bridges, burning the boats, no way back.
Right.
But I don't know if you feel this way. I have a sense that you do. But in hindsight, I look back on those times in my life, some of those the most desperate times.
Yeah.
And I realize why they had to happen.
Right.
It's like I've heard Alex Hormozy say it before. It's like, if you were going to create a person and you wanted to make them resilient or strong, you'd probably put them through some tough things.
Yeah.
If you wanted to create somebody that was patient, like you'd make them wait for things.
Sure.
If you wanted to make somebody compassionate, caring, you'd have them go through some loss or whatever, right? So it's like, it's all from that perspective of like, God is like, those tough times, you're back up against the wall, ships burned, bridges burned.
Right.
There's so much learning and growth that happens in those times, and some confidence that comes through figuring out, like, I've been through these tough things. I can make it through this new tough thing that I'm facing now.
Yeah.
Or realizing there's always a way. Sometimes it just takes persistence, hard work, grit, determination, whatever. But I hear that story and I'm just like, it should be proof for anyone that's listening that if you were given the benefit of being born here and having connections and whatever here, like what's your excuse? Like you came over on a plane with $1,000 and like hope, you know,
that's it.
And so anyways, I just find it super encouraging. So did you left tech and went to a community college?
No. So there's a plot twist there. I was, Arkansas Tech is a great university, but they didn't have a lot of
the Wonder
scholarship.
Boys.
The Wonder Boys. Yeah. Go Tech, go.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of scholarships for internationals. If they did, they were like $1,000, very competitive, handful of them. And I was needing something more.
Right.
So one day my friend Ted, the godsend, he, from day one, he was always encouraging me something or the other. So now he helped me get stable, but he's like, why don't you go apply for this honor scholarship? And I was like, Ted, I looked up the requirement. I don't think international students are allowed to apply. He's like, it never hurts. I was like, sure, yeah. So we're in the kind of the beginning of the semester, somewhere in September or something. A month goes by. I was like, okay, I'll go by. And the director of the program, Dr. J. Jenkins was her name. I went into the office, Witherspoon building, and I said, hey, Dr. Jenkins, I'm here to inquire about the honor scholarship, if it's okay for me to apply. She's like, well, we've had a number of international students inquire, but none of them ever turned in the application. I'm like, they didn't turn in the application. If you know anything about me, I'm going to turn in my application,
right.
Yeah. And thankfully I had those good scores. So one of the requirements was those scores, then
Grades.
Write an essay. And one of the topics was, a journey you've taken or something. So I wrote my Coming to America abbreviated version, took out that little bit of the bad spot.
My story would have been like, traveled from Little Rock 60 miles to Russellville, and here I am. And then you've got Kunal's story of I was born in India, went to Ghana, now I'm in Russellville, Arkansas, of all places.
So I wrote that and I turned it in, and a couple of weeks go by, she calls me, she said, hey, we'd like you to come in for an interview or something like that. They have an oral interview. Sure. So I go in and do the interview. She's like, hey, we'll get back to you. So a week goes by. She calls, says, come to my office. I come in the office. I'm like, okay. She's like, Mr. Khatri. That's how she spoke to me. Mr. Khatri, you're the first international student we're ever going to give an honor scholarship. And it's a full scholarship. You get room, board, tuition, everything paid for, and you get a $500 stipend for books.
Wow.
So here I had saved up $1,300 to go to community college. Now next semester I'm going to move to the dorms. Everything's paid for.
Wow. Yeah.
I had a $500 stipend for textbooks.
Wow.
And so that was the twist. And so I never left tech. I finished my degree there.
And you became religious on that day. You're like, God is good.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that day. It still got to work on me a lot more. Yeah. But definitely when I called my parents, they're like, see, we tell you something and work out. And Ted, of course, thanks to him and several other people, who were helping me along the way,
That's amazing. So you get the scholarship, huge weight off the shoulders, like everything's good. Did you keep your cafeteria job, or that got kicked to the curb?
No, I switched to the library.
Okay.
I tried to up it up a notch.
There you go.
So I could spend more time studying. And then, because now I have the meal plan, so I don't need the free meals.
There you go.
I mean, it comes with the meal plan.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, let me take a job, because now I'm in the honors program, I got to study more. Right. So let me take a job that I can still make some extra income.
Right.
But work maybe as less as possible. And in this library job, it wasn't really difficult. You had to kind of watch if somebody came up and the printer wasn't working, you go help them. But anytime everything was working well in the library, then you can just do homework or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I shifted to the library job.
Nice. Okay, so then you graduate from tech with a bachelor's?
Yeah, in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then what?
Yeah, then I went and applied, and I got a position at Harrison Train here in Little Rock on Canis and 12th, and I was a sales engineer.
A sales engineer?
Yeah, inside sales, basically.
Okay.
So the outside sales guys would go talk to customers and all build a relationship there, but the inside sales would take, do proposals, they'll do takeoffs, create submittals, so they're kind of like a middleman between the outside and the inside.
But you need to be an engineer to
enough, yeah. Just understand. You'll even those things. I didn't know enough about HVAC, variety of chillers and heat pumps. You still have, you need to learn it's technical knowledge that you would pick up, but you need to know. Okay, here's a 3-ton. Here's this. Here's the heat exchanger. Blah blah blah. Right. You pick it up. They'll help you.
Because when I hear sales, I think outside sales. Right. And I'm like, those guys are not engineers.
Yeah, interesting title. Yeah, they call it inside sales engineer. But it's kind of like a bridge between the outside and the internal world.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just never met a sales engineer before. It's like pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it makes total sense because most engineers are not great at sales.
Yeah.
And most sales guys probably wouldn't make great engineers. Like so you're like a mix of both. You're like a personable engineer.
Yeah. Well,
because engineers get a bad name.
They do. Yeah. Overly technical, can't relate to people. Yeah. And a lot of times these sales engineers, whether outside or in, the key is you need to be good at both. Right. So you need to be able to interpret technical knowledge in very simple terms. You say, hey, I want to buy a chiller. I want to buy a chiller. It's like, okay, what do I need? Okay, without going into, it's 300 gallons per centimeter square and all this, which you could care less about.
Lost me.
Yeah. Does this work for my room? Yes, no, let's go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I know a couple of engineers, and some of them can be. It's engineers. I think typically you're interested in things more than people. Right. And
sure. Technical knowledge.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. Generally speaking, the more nerdy they are.
So you took that job straight out of college?
Straight out of college.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And you learned more about HVAC than you could ever probably hope to know?
Yeah, it wasn't too long because they applied for what they call a work visa for me.
Okay. Because you still don't have...
Yeah, I'm still... So I was legal they call it a student visa.
Right.
I finished my student visa, and then they give you a 1 year of OPT, which they call something practical training. It's basically a 1 year grace period that you're allowed to work, and that company will then apply for you through an attorney, immigration attorney, a 3-year work visa. Okay. They call it an H-1B visa. And they did. The company was willing.
H-1B,
they knew that.
That sounds like a virus or something.
Yeah, I forgot about those. H1N, wasn't that a virus or something?
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah,
it sounds like not a good thing.
Yeah,
but okay, so you worked there, and they were applying. They applied for the.
They did. Yeah, they were kind enough. They hired me knowing I would need that. Right. And they did, and they paid for it and stuff like that. But then what happened that year? There was double the number of applications than visas allotted.
Is that normal? Do you know?
Not as frequent. There's always a little bit higher applicant pool.
Yeah.
But that particular year, the year 06, it was double. So the USCIS has only so many they're going to give. Yeah. And they came up with this system, they call it a random generated lottery system, where without looking at your application, they pump it through the lottery system. If you get out, you're denied outright without looking at your application.
So it's not merit-based at all?
In that moment, it wasn't to create the pool of what they were going to look at versus what they were not going to look at.
Oh.
It is merit-based, but in that, because they had double.
So many.
They had so many, so they had to find a way to eliminate some of them. And it was a computer-generated system, and mine got knocked out. So I get the sad news that even though I was a decent employee and everything was going well, suddenly my status is about to go south.
Okay, so I think I disagree with all of that. It sounds like, so were they just understaffed and they're just like, we can't possibly review all the applicants and base them all on merit. So we're just going to use this random generator to eliminate some of the applicants and then base the ones that we do review on merit. It just seems.
Yeah. Well, there's still a little bit in their defense. They have double the number of applicants. So
yeah.
they just, yeah. So
I guess I just hear about them hiring like
yeah,
triple the IRS agents, and I'm like, let's get some people at this division over here.
Yeah, 87,000 they hired recently.
Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so they kick yours out. So what do you do?
So I had like a window, and I either got to change my status, do something, or go home.
And so what do you do?
Oh, yeah. So then I was like, okay. Well, then I got a job offer from Train in England.
England, Arkansas?
England, UK.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was frantic. I was looking around. I was applying all over the world with my limited experience. I'm like, still very limited.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there was a similar role in Train, which is an international company.
Yeah.
Harrison Train was a kind of franchise version here. But Train itself was international. And I got offered a position, and I took it. And they had to apply for a visa for me, the UK, a working visa.
Right.
And in the meantime, I thought, well, let me do something to kind of just in case. So I said I could go back and be a student. So I applied for my master's with my previous universities. They were just starting a master's engineering program. Yeah. And I was going to, if I got accepted, I was going to be the first master's engineering student. So I'd be sort of the guinea pig of it too. And so
they'd probably love to have you because you've already been there on the honors scholarship. And
yeah, possibly. But for me, I was like, who's going to pay for that? Same problem. Yeah. Same problem came back in a different way.
Yeah.
And so I'm all excited through the summer. Thankfully, I'd met some amazing people. I was staying with them in Russellville. I moved back to Russellville for the summer. And then I'm going to England, UK. I'm going, I'm like, yeah, man. Okay, I guess, wherever the wind blows. And then I find out that my visa got denied there. So then I have like 2 weeks remaining, and I have to leave the country. Otherwise, I'll be illegal in this country.
Oh, no. Yikes. And it's right before school starts?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks. Well, my 2 weeks was based on they have a grace period after your last work permit expired or the temporary one you had.
Right.
So my window was coming up. Thankfully, it had been accepted for the master's.
Okay. So you can get a student visa.
Yeah,
but you have to pay for school.
We're back at square one in a different way, aren't we?
So what do you do?
So I was, in that case, that was definitely a God moment. I was just, I was like, well, I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to pray. I'm going to see, if God wants me still in the U.S., then he's going to make a way. Otherwise, my time's up. My time's out. I got to be okay with it. I got to be okay with it, as painful as it is, because I love America.
Yeah.
And love the people, love everything about the environment and opportunity and everything. So 2 weeks in, I'm at my church in Russellville, and a guy walks up to me. He's like, hey, God told me to give you a message. I was like, sure, yeah, whatever. And he's like, I'll meet you. At that time, I was house sitting someone's dog. And so he comes over. He's like, it's just a simple message that I could have told you at the church. He said, God just told me to tell you that he's not done with you in America. And then he just walks away. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, well, did he tell you anything? Like, I have 2 weeks left.
Right, yeah.
I have 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? What's the plan? How am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
And so the cool part of the God story there was that I was part of our men's group would meet on a Wednesday morning, and we used to go to one of this elders' house up on Skyline in Russellville.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there one of the Wednesdays. This is approaching that 2 week window. I didn't say anything. I had a little bit of credit card payments I needed to make, so I didn't even have money to pay that. Mm-hmm. And I had even gotten a ticket, which wasn't my fault. And I went and did community service, side story there. But that's how bad it was, because I had run dry now.
Yeah.
And so they start passing this around. They're taking out money. They're like, the elder comes up and he's like, this is for you. It was the exact money to make all my minimum payments for the card.
Wow.
I'm thinking, this is crazy. And I look up and I'm like, God's still here. But, well, now that you solved this problem, are you going to solve the big one still? I'm still freaking out here.
Right.
I'm aware you're there, but I'm freaking out,
Yeah.
And that next Sundays, the guy who came and gave me the message, he comes back to me. He's like, you know what? You're going to laugh at this, but my wife had a dream. And she saw you coming to live with us in our home. and we're gonna open up a home for you, and we're gonna pay for your master's. And I thought, this guy is either totally crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because this one is, it doesn't, there's no gray area here. Why would you meet a random stranger? I've never met him before. I barely knew him that 2 weeks ago when he delivered the message. They had just moved into town, you know, and next thing you know, his wife gets her. I'm like, either she really heard from God or she's cuckoo. There's no middle ground, because why would you pay?
It's one of the two.
Yeah. There's no middle ground here. You know, it's not like you're giving somebody $50. You know, go play $50.
Yeah.
You know, and go pay your fees. And so then they did. And next thing I know, I was just following God. And next thing you know, they signed a letter that they were going to take over my financial responsibility. And the story is, the first semester what I get in to the master's, I'm kind of a little kicking and screaming because I wasn't excited about it. I'm like, God, I don't know if I want to do it.
It's just keeping you in the country.
Yeah, I was like, this is kind of a boring. I know you gave so many signals that I'm supposed to be here, but can you give me one more fleece? I put one more fleece before I'm like Gideon. And I said, if you give me a scholarship, then I'll know and I'll change my attitude. Well, the second semester, kind of like deja vu in bachelor's, I got a full scholarship.
Wow.
And I had a graduate assistantship is what they call. And I was
you're like, okay.
Now I really got to change my bad attitude. And so I that's how the master's began.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. So you get your master's, you're in the first master's engineering program from
Arkansas
Tech.
Yeah.
Wow. And scholarship and everything. And so did you stay living with the couple from church?
Yeah. They took care of me though. The
Still
graduate
close to them?
assistantship. Oh yeah. They were at my wedding. They've been amazing to, you know. They sent gifts for for our daughter, consider their granddaughter amazing. As well.
So your whole wedding party is just like all these people.
All these amazing people who have helped me along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. All these people are like, oh, this guy needs help. Move him. This guy needs a little more help. Let's bump him here.
Yeah.
I've been bumped through different people, and all amazing people.
Yeah. That is amazing. Where does your wife come into the story?
Oh yeah. She comes way down the line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
we don't have to skip to that part.
Oh yeah. We can crisscross if you want.
Well, your wife's gonna watch this, so we gotta. We gotta bring her up.
She's another definitely God story. But I had to wait for her. Speaking of waiting, my middle name could be Kunal Khatri. You know, because that's kind of sort of the story of my life.
You probably prayed for patience at some point.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I need to go back and read my journals.
That's what they tell you about. Don't pray for patience, because
you'll get all the lessons. You'll get all the experiences around it.
Yeah, there's only one way to get it.
Yeah. The year. So my undergrad was 02 to 06. My master's was 07 to 09.
Okay.
And then when I graduated, I was.
And what do you graduate with?
It's another engineering degree, but this was a little more general. It had a little bit of electrical, mechanical, and nuclear, because it was a new program. So they were sort of. I was the guinea pig. They were forming it sort of as I go.
Yeah, you get.
Yeah, so I did some business classes. I did IT. I did a little bit of everything. I did database.
Wow.
I was rubbing shoulders with the IT guys.
Yeah.
You know, networking as in. Computer networking,
right?
not business networking,
not social networking.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that's intense. That sounds awful. Like to me, that's just like makes my hair on the back of my neck.
Even though I knew it was all God, it was torturous in many ways because it was a lot of studying, and I was not excited about it.
Okay, so that was 09. You graduated. Then what?
Yeah. So then I was like, oh, lessons learned from undergrad. That whole summer, I had one extra course that.
Do you have to get another visa now? Because schools.
Yeah.
You
so now
graduated
I'm back on I gotta get legal again. So I gotta switch from, school status,
student
visa. Thank you. To work visa, H1B. Back to H1B.
Yeah.
The virus.
Yeah.
So so thankfully I was going around this time. Before I graduated, I was doing the job fairs. I was doing the circuit. You know, I was applying left and right.
Yeah.
You know, I read a book called Knock 'em Dead.
This is 09.
Yeah, this is 09.
Like the
market,
job market's not great.
Yeah. I was going everywhere, Dallas, everywhere. And I went to a job fair in Fayetteville. At that time, the universities, I think, would allow from other universities to come. So I went there, and I was handing out my resume in a folder with, what do you call it, recommendations from my previous job. So that came in handy. The guys I had worked with at Train wrote me 3 recommendations, 3 different people. And I was carrying them around like a badge of honor. That was all I had.
Yeah.
And I turned it everywhere. And then while I was finishing up my master's that summer, I got a call and said, hey, we'd love to come by and interview at the campus. So I had a campus interview. And it was a paper mill out in Pine Bluff, IP.
I smell it.
Yeah.
Every time I go through there.
Yeah. And I had no idea what an industrial paper mill was, except it's like, here's an interview.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I'll go to Dallas or Memphis or something similar to what I did. HVAC, Carrier, Train, those kind of groups of people. And I was interviewing for them too. So I was like, but it never hurts to do an interview because you always gain experience,
and
right?
you need your visa.
And you need your visa. So I interviewed. Then after that first interview, they had me on an on-campus interview where it was an all-day thing. I had like 4 people interviewing me back to back, an hour.
Wow.
And then I had to give a presentation, and then you get a tour of the mill. So it was a whole day experience. And my host parents, the family who I stayed with, they gave me their nice Buick, and I drove it from Little Rock to Pine Bluff and back. Right. And in between, I had some interviews in Memphis. They let me use their car. Amazing people. Shout out to Clay and Tess. Anthony, yeah. And anyway, so I get back, and next thing I know, I got a job offer from the paper mill.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, whoa, it's a really good offer.
Yeah.
And they're willing to sponsor my visa. Let's do it. Now, I did know the one advantage is that when you get a master's, you get put into a different H-1B category. So they have a little more visas there, and not as many people apply from the master's category.
Right.
So your chances are higher. So thankfully, when this time the lawyers applied, I got it. Nice. And so then I was there. I ended up being at the paper mill almost 13 years because my boss who hired me, super nice guy, he agreed to sponsor my green card. But that green card process kept me there for almost 13 years, and I had to keep renewing my H1.
So because he sponsors it, you can keep it longer.
Yeah, so the H1B, you're allowed to have 2, and then there's an automatic extension if your green card is in process.
Okay.
In that case, they don't just kick you out, thankfully.
Right. Okay.
So I had exhausted my 6 years of 2 H1Bs after the master's, but in that time, thankfully, my green card process had started. And so there's like, okay, now it's on us, sort of, we're the ones delaying you.
Holding it up.
Yeah, holding it up due to whatever reasons.
Okay. So 13 years at the paper mill and on a visa this whole time because they just hadn't started your green card process.
Yeah, it's on paper it started. It has three main facets. I was in stage 2 forever.
For like a long time.
Yeah, almost a decade I was in stage 2.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah.
I
started January.
We have some flaws in our immigration system.
Yeah, January 2010. In fact, the joke was my colleagues, they're like, these, the time the war was going on in Syria.
Yeah.
And they would, there was a lot of immigrants being accepted due to the war-torn zone. So I had gotten to know several of the guys personally, and so they would joke, paper mill guys are a little rusty and crusty. They don't mind messing with you. So they're like, the guy who was my mentor the first time he saw me, he's like, who hired this terrorist? That's how he would talk.
Wow.
But they would tell you, the old school guys, if they really like you, that means they're really messing with you. Or if they're really messing with you, they really like you. Right. Which I didn't get at the first time. And he's like, the reason he's really, pushing your buttons because he likes you. Right. And he wants to see how much thick skin you got, or can you develop one,
It's like the girls on the playground only hit the guys that they like.
Right. Right. Exactly.
The opposite of, what is it? The opposite of love is apathy. It's like not caring.
Right.
It's like,
right.
I find that I'm that way. It's like if I mess with people, it's because I'm comfortable with them and I like them. I mess with Aaron all the time.
Yeah. There you go.
I make Aaron sit on the floor.
Thanks, Aaron.
He chose to sit on the floor, by the way.
Yeah, we did offer him a seat.
We have 40 chairs in here. They just all squeak. So he chose to sit on the floor because he's that dedicated to the audio stream sounding.
He's all about quality.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Shout out Aaron.
Yeah. Nobody can see Aaron sitting on the floor. We'll have to cut to you sitting on the floor.
You'd have to turn the camera really well.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So the joke was that, hey, you wanna pretend like you're leaving the country, jump on the boat that's coming from Syria, and you'll get a free green card.
Just immediately.
So they would tease me about it all the time. My colleagues. They're like,
why from Syria? You just
why not do that, bro? You're just kind of sitting here on the wait list. Might as well just do that.
Yeah.
So it was a running joke.
It is. I can't, like I've said before, when it comes to immigration stuff. So I don't have any better ideas of how to do it. So I'll try to keep my complaints to a minimum. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not like I could take it over and do any better. Yeah. It's just frustrating hearing your story and stories similar to this. It's like, how can we not get this together? We've got smarter people than me working on this, surely.
Right.
It seems like we could refine these systems and processes a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to...
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of good people trying to get in the right way.
Right. And just hearing people getting thrown in a random generator to see who's whose application gets looked at and whose doesn't. It's just really?
Yeah.
But anyways. Okay, so 13 years at the paper mill.
Yeah.
And what? Yeah,
so I was there from January 2010.
Okay.
All the way through August of...
Oh, so recently?
2022. Yeah. So approaching 13, 12 and 8 months, somewhere in there. Yeah. And then my wife, you were asking when does she come in the picture? Yeah. So the joke was on the immigration, back on the immigration. Will I get it faster through my wife or through my work? And the way the story goes is I met my wife in 2020 at the height of COVID.
Okay.
And backstory to that is
Was she in Pine Bluff?
No,
she was in Little Rock.
She's in Little Rock. She's from Little Rock.
Okay.
She's lived all over the world. Her parents had been to Michigan, Indiana, Romania, and different parts of the world.
I know a few words in Romanian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know none.
Yeah. I have one friend that's Romanian.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, ce faci is how are you?
Oh, ce faci?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ce faci.
I may have to try to impress her.
Bine is good. That's about all I know.
Bine?
Bine.
Bine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
So if somebody says ce faci, you go bine, ce faci.
Okay.
And you're like bine.
Bine.
That's all I know. It's how are you? Good.
Yeah.
How are you? Good.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Exactly.
Anyways.
No, yeah.
Oh, actually I know sandwich. Sandwich.
That should be easy.
It's easy. Yeah. That's all I know.
That's like my French. I know a few statements,
Bonjour.
Tu parles français? Je suis fatigué, which means I'm tired.
I did Italian. You said French and I said bonjour. Foreign languages are not my thing.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You're a true American.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just an ignorant American.
No.
Okay. So who did help you get your green card more, your wife or your work?
Yeah. So there's another race there. If you want to hear that story.
Yeah.
So I meet her in 2018 and 2019, ran into her at events and conferences. And the joke is we were conference acquaintances, right? See each other, say hi from far, never really talked. And I sent her a Facebook friend request and she accepted, thankfully.
Yeah.
But then
so you could slide in her DMs.
It's not in her DMs. Yeah. But I never sent her a DM. I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
And I just watched her feed. And next thing I know, she's moving to Virginia Beach. She was going to Regent to do her master's.
Yeah. Okay.
This was in 2019 or 18. So I thought, well, nothing's going to work out, whatever. Then COVID hit in March 2020. So then, out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
And then I see in the summer of 2020, update, people's Facebook feed, wasn't stalking. It's just right there.
It just popped up.
It just popped up. I'm
right.
moving back to Little Rock. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. But there's no events. So how am I going to see her, right? Because it's COVID, right? So my church did the first mini conference in 2020, November of 2020. And one of my pastors, she's like, hey, I want you to help greet. I was like, okay, sure. So I was at the front helping people were coming in, and I would say, hey, welcome, be free, worship your heart out, walk them in. And then in walks Melissa. I hadn't seen her over a year and a half. And you got to remember, I've never really spoken to her.
Right.
So in reality, we don't know anything. Yeah, right. We don't know each other.
Facebook friend, she's seen your stuff.
Yeah, but it's been a year and a half, and she's gorgeous. So she's probably got hundreds of friend requests. She's not going to keep up with everybody.
Every day.
Yeah. So, it just blurts out of her mouth. I was like, hey, Melissa. I just came out.
Yeah.
And she's like, excuse me, do I know you, brother? I mean, that was the first things that came out of her mouth. I was like, oh, brother was not the category I was going for.
Was really not hoping for brother.
Yeah. But then I had to also come out of the creep zone real fast, because if she's not remembering, I got to help jog her memory that we were actually conference acquaintances. Right. So thankfully, there was one worship set that her dad and her mom had done at the Marriott downtown.
Okay.
So when I said those things, it kind of like made her think, okay, this guy's somewhat legit.
Right.
So as I'm walking her into the main sanctuary, worship auditorium, a question popped in her head. She's like, where's the restroom? I was like, it's like, I know this church like the back of my hand.
I have this answer.
I have this answer.
Your guy.
I'm your guy, but I'm not taking you to the nearest restroom, and I'm not taking you to the farthest restroom. So I took her like a midway further away so I could have some more time with her.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, then I left her, and then it wasn't a creep or anything like that. And then 2
You're
weeks...
just waiting outside the restroom to walk her back.
I didn't do it. I went back. I was helping with sound or something, so I went back to the sound booth, and 2 weeks later, I asked her out on Facebook, because that's the only info I had.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you that guy who took me to the restroom? It's like, nailed it.
Sure am.
Now she remembered.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Wow.
That's how it started.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we can come to the immigration part, but yeah. So we dated from that end of November, Thanksgiving. I'd asked her out on a Thanksgiving. Yeah. And we dated we were engaged March of 21, March 6th, and had a surprise proposal at Old Mill.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And then we were married July of 21 when that second round of COVID was sort of hit. What was it
One
called?
of the variants.
Yeah, one of the
Delta.
Delta, that's it. Yeah. Wow. And we were able to slip out to Hawaii for our honeymoon because
you didn't get quarantined.
No. Thankfully, it was just coming up, so we made it in the nick of time. After our honeymoon was over, they shut down Hawaii partially again or whatever.
Wow, snuck it in there. Man, and then had a daughter.
I had a daughter.
Yeah. That's so exciting.
Yeah, our honeymoon baby.
Honeymoon. Oh, so it was 9 months later.
9 months later. Esther was born 7 p.m., 7 days early at 7 pounds, 3 sevens.
So many sevens.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's a prophetic baby.
Yeah, that's amazing. Goodness. Wow, there's so many things that had to work out for you to be here.
Yeah.
And be the person you are today.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And the joke is that once I married my wife, before we got married, we went to the immigration attorney. And, once you're married to a U.S. citizen, they can also apply for you.
Right.
So here's my green card sitting there from, over a decade.
Yeah.
And it's like dormant. It went to sleep, in a coma or something.
It's just in a crack somewhere.
Yeah.
Nobody
and we're like, will it ever rise again? Right.
Yeah.
And that was somewhere before we got married, June of 2021. And so we started the process, and right before we married, then after we got married, we could officially start because you have a marriage certificate. So we started an amazing local lawyer here, and he's like, oh yeah, this should be easy. Well, what's funny is after we came back, and somewhere in March of 22, I got a letter from my immigration attorney through work saying, which I was still now I was commuting to Pine Bluff every day because I had moved back to Little Rock. And he's like, oh man, your green card woke up, you might get some things soon. I was like, okay. So then they sent me a request for fingerprints. This is through my work. A day later, I get a request for fingerprints through Melissa's green card. So now you got these parallel tracks.
Yeah, and it's a race.
And
the race is on.
The race is on. And so I was saying, oh, God, if I get it through my wife, she's never going to let it down on me.
Hold it over your head forever.
Which my wife is nothing like that. She's the kindest, sweetest person.
Right.
But I had to, just...
I would probably turn in the wife's fingerprints like a week later.
Yeah, right.
Just give the work one just a little...
Yeah, well, there was a 1 week gap. So we go to Memphis.
Yeah.
But the lady was so nice. I was like, do I have to come back in a week to do the other one? She's like, just do it together. I'll do it both for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One positive.
Shout out to that lady.
Yeah, shout out to that lady. So I submitted both fingerprints.
Perfect.
So now it was somewhere in April or something. And then I'm still waiting, Yeah. And then we get a letter saying, okay, Melissa and your application, they're calling you for an interview. Whenever you marry your citizen, they have to do they want to see if it's a legit marriage.
Yeah, I've heard some of like the questions. They'll ask your wife like what color your toothbrush is, because they want to like make sure you're living together, right? And I've heard some.
And they watch you. They really do. Yeah. They keep, because the green card you would get through your spouse or your wife is only given for 2 years. But if you get it for work, you get it for 10 years.
That makes sense.
And then after 2 years, they want to see, are you still legit? Then they give you the longer one.
Okay.
Because sadly, some people do marry for that reason. Yeah. An agreement or whatever.
Right.
So I'm after the fingerprinting and all, and we get this letter saying, okay, our interview is June something of 2022. So in the meantime, for my work, I had gone to a conference. Was it Lake Greer?
Greer's Ferry?
Greer's Ferry, thank you. The conference center there.
Yeah.
I was at an engineering conference, and it was, the reason I remember, it was Cinco de Mayo, May 5th.
Yep.
I get a letter from my attorney at work. He said, your green card was approved. I'm like, what?
Which one?
The work one.
The work.
And I'm thinking, wait, I'm still yet to go to my interview for my wife in June. And he's like, it's approved. So we go to my lawyer with my wife, and he's like, we just have to basically cancel our application, take it back. And he's like, this is better than the one through your wife because of that 2 year.
Yeah.
This is 10 year.
Yeah.
And so we saw who won that race.
So now you get to hold it over your wife. Like, you don't have that power over me.
Right. Well, more like, she's more like, you should have gotten this earlier. What's keeping you so long, bro?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't your fault. It doesn't sound like.
Right. So.
Man. Okay. So you're good for another 9 years, 8 years?
Yeah. And then if you have that green card and you maintain it, like I've already had it a little over a year, and then 2 more years I can apply for citizenship. So you have to.
Oh, okay.
In 3 years you can apply for citizenship.
Nice.
Of holding the green card.
Yeah.
But some people like to just be a resident. They don't want to give up their citizenship.
Oh, you can't be dual Ghana and U.S.?
Some countries allow that. Some don't.
Right.
My birth country is India, so my citizenship is Indian.
Right.
So I would, in India's case, you have to give it up.
Really?
Yeah. Every country is slightly different with their rules.
So what are you going to go for U.S. citizenship?
Yeah, I was born for the USA.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
I may have journeyed around to get here, but this is my home.
Red, white, and blue.
That's right.
Bleed the red, white, and blue.
That's awesome.
Right. Okay, so what are you up to now? So I met you through a real estate meetup type thing.
Yeah.
So I like to try to go to those things because I meet interesting people like you every now and then, where it's like, and I encourage other people that are either real estate investors or people that want to get into it to go to things like that, because you meet awesome people with a wealth of knowledge, especially if you don't know that much about real estate investing. I think a lot of people are apprehensive to go to something like that because they feel like everybody's just going to recognize them immediately as like the rookie in the room. Yeah. And they're going to be like, oh, don't talk to so-and-so because they don't know anything. And, I've never had that experience going from meetups when I knew very little to meetups now where I know some more. Sure. But even being through thousands of transactions, there's still stuff that I learn all the time with those real estate meetups. And I'm always happy to go there and to try and be of service and knowledge or, connections to anybody that I can, because I usually get something right back out of it as well. So all that to say, I usually encourage anybody to join your local real estate investment group, join them on Facebook, go meet them in person, because it's generally just a lot of people that are trying to get into real estate to benefit themselves or their family or their business or their community, a side hustle or whatever.
Right.
Because everybody knows a lot of the general benefits.
Right.
But a lot of people don't know how to get plugged in. So I think those meetups are a great way to do that.
Absolutely.
What was your experience? Do you go to a lot of the local meetups or?
Yeah, I'm part of the, Randy's group, Randy Thomason.
Yeah.
Arcaria.
Arcaria. Yeah.
Yeah, I go to it. I met a ton of great people. I met Tara there. And then through Tara, I met you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Tara's been on the podcast. Go check out Tara Helgestad's episode. She's amazing.
She is. Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
She's a killer.
Yeah.
She comes off as all like dainty and sweet. I'm going to say this just to see if she actually watches this.
Yeah.
But she's a killer.
Yeah, my wife and I, we got to meet her in a different setting because my wife and I, we try to do Friday night as a date night,
Yeah.
If we can't do Friday, we try to do Saturday due to
That's good. Yeah.
sitter availability.
Yeah.
And one night we were at that Brazilian restaurant on Kavanaugh.
Uh-huh.
And so I always forget the name.
I'm not going to remember it, but I know what you're...
Yeah, the yellow banner outside.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting there, and then out is coming Tara and her husband. They just come back from their vacation or something.
Yeah, her daughter used to work there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what's cool is my wife, she's a massage therapist.
Okay.
She got to know the owners next week. They came for a massage from her.
Cool.
They're like, why haven't we gotten one of these before? Because there's this very high-pressure environment.
Yeah.
So anyway, my wife got to meet her and her husband. Really sweet. Yeah.
Awesome.
Unplanned.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Little Rock's such a small town, but I think any town can have that small town vibe if you get out and get to the more you explore the city you live in, the smaller it feels.
Right.
You start realizing like, oh, I just met this person, but they know this other person that I know, and you start realizing how interconnected everybody is. It's like that 6 degrees of separation.
Yes.
Kind of. It's like we're all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have you seen the one with Kevin Bacon? It's like you know what I'm talking about, Aaron. It's like any actor is only like 3 steps away from Kevin Bacon in like stuff they've acted in.
Yeah, degrees of separation.
Yeah, but like first, like somebody did all the research on like Kevin Bacon specifically. It's like every actor on IMDb is only like 3 degrees away from acting with Kevin Bacon.
I got you. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like
so it's the same to that principle, yeah. That in that small town, everybody's 3 degrees away.
Right. So we met through you in that real estate meetup through Tara. And we got to talking because you're relatively new on your real estate journey.
Yes.
And that's part of why I wanted to have you on here today is just because one of the things that I admire about you is the fear of starting and the fear of the unknown often keeps people there's a large chasm between 0 and 1, right? So you've crossed that chasm.
Partially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's encouraging. The whole story and all the background that you were willing to share with us plays into how awesome it is to now be not only with your career and your family and all of that, but now also one of the things is real estate.
Yeah.
And how do you start kind of building that as a platform for future provision for your family, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've crossed that chasm and you now have more than 0.
Right.
So, and looking to grow that more.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that. What's your, just the high level, what's your real estate experience so far?
Yeah, sure. So far I have, I did sort of a semi house hack.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we bought a property that her parents were living in, and they moved and they offered to sell it to any of their kids. They rented for a while. We rented for a while. And they're like, we consider, why shouldn't we buy it? It's in a great location. Of course, being in a great location by a golf course and everything, it's kind of steep a little bit, even with the family discount. So we agreed, my wife and I, that it's a big house, but we can section off. It's already in a great way that the guest room downstairs and bathroom is in the corner of the house. It has a back entry through the laundry room.
Walkout basement situation.
Exactly, yeah. So we sectioned it off, agreed that we would Airbnb it. And in June, I made $1,300 to offset the mortgage. So somebody told me when I told them, they're like, "You're kind of doing a house hack."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't think about it that way." But
yeah, just without a long-term tenant.
Yeah. And we've had some opportunities where some nurses want to rent it longer and stuff like that. In fact, I'm showing one here in a few hours to one of them. But so I did that. Then I started one of our cars. We put it on tour. So I was taking all the classic Robert Kiyosaki liabilities, and I was like, I got to turn them into assets.
Love that.
Even if it's partial assets. So every time one of my Subarus goes on tour, like 1 month I made $1,000 in January. And so I paid off the car payment, right? And I still had surplus. So classic liability, which it is,
right? It's a depreciating
asset.
Yeah,
I was able to get money out of it, and then I formed my S corp. I formed a Wyoming LLC, and as we speak, I'm forming my state LLCs. I'm part of a sub 2 group, Pace Morby.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to go to the mastermind next month. I've started putting some offers out to get some creative deals. So
while you're there, ask him if he wants to come be on the podcast.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, Pace is a great guy.
Pace Morby, if you're watching, we want you.
Yeah.
I think he's great. And we talked a little bit about, so for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about. So sub 2 is like, he's talking about subject to financing. Because subject to can be used like subject to inspection, stuff like that on offers, but we're specifically talking about subject to financing. And I'm excited to hear that you're going to that mastermind. I may try to join you because I think that sub 2 movement has gained a lot of steam.
Yeah.
And I think that information that they'll give you there, teaching you how to leverage that subject to financing, is going to open up a lot of doors for opportunities. Yeah. Because we'll give people the basic rundown for those of you that don't know. So it's buying a property subject to assuming the existing owners already existing financing.
Correct.
So in this market that we're in now and going into more in the future, it looks like people that are in a desperate situation to get rid of their property for whatever reason, they're behind on their payments, they've lost their job, whatever. They could be desperate to move, but there's not a lot of opportunity to sell because the buying pool is diminished because interest rates are so high.
Right.
You can come in as with some creative financing, the subject to financing, offer them a way to get out from under their property and out from under this monthly overhead that they have with this property. And take on their financing yourself. So you can get a discounted property at a significantly lower interest rate than you would get now. Right. If they refinance it at the bottom, I mean, you could take over somebody's mortgage at 2.7%. Yeah. Had a lender on that wrote a VA loan for 1.7.
Wow.
He said that was like the lowest that he did, but it's like if that guy for whatever reason need to get out of that deal, and you can assume their financing, get the deed over in your name. Right. But keep the financing in their name at 1.7. Right. They get out from under it. You assume all the payments.
Both parties win.
Yeah, it's
your credit history is not wrecked.
Yeah, it can be a win-win. Your debt to income ratio isn't part of the equation or anything, and you get them out of a bad situation. So the knowledge that you'll get there and being able to offer sub 2 or creative financing options. Yeah. And if you work with Tara, which I would recommend having, working with somebody who's going to write your offers. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to write some of those creative financing.
And I spoke with her. I think I told you that.
Oh, good.
I was working on my real estate license. So
oh, yeah. Perfect.
Hopefully.
If you get your own license, then you can just go gangbusters and write.
Yeah, but I still need a place to hang the hat.
Yeah, you'll have to have, I would have her broker your license.
Okay.
But I'm partial because she brokers mine.
Right.
I think she's
a discount.
Great. We can talk about it off camera. Yeah, no, she's the best broker I could ask for.
Yeah.
Because I don't use my license in a traditional way. And she's
primarily
very
investing.
Yeah, she's very understanding of that. Gives me a very long leash.
Yeah.
While still, crossing all the T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah.
Because we have to protect her license and her brokerage.
Best of both worlds.
But I don't have a sales manager that's pressuring me to go out there and
sell homes,
close a bunch of deals. Yeah,
right.
It's like I'm using it primarily to view and buy stuff for myself, and finding for anybody that's looking to do that, finding an investor friendly brokerage, I think is huge, because I don't want to pay. I don't need a Keller Williams.
Yeah,
I don't need that
EXP.
Yeah, it's great for new agents that need that educational process that they offer.
Right.
That comes along with several $100s a month in desk fees and whatever.
Yeah.
Like I own an office.
Right.
I don't need.
Right.
I don't want to pay a broker desk fees and go to the required classes and and that kind of stuff. It's just Tara offers me exactly what I need, and for her. I was her first agent under her brokerage.
I didn't know that.
It worked out well for her because she was not at a place where she needed an agent that needed their handheld all the time.
Yeah.
She did a fair bit of hand-holding.
Yeah.
Because she has to sign off on any of my offers, and
as the executive broker.
Yeah, she has to look over all of my paperwork. But so it was. I was her guinea pig for having an agent under her.
Sure.
And it was good because I wasn't in a place where I needed to represent a lot of clients, and we had a lot of areas where I needed a lot of oversight. Just like, hey, Tara, I'm offering on this property, I just sent you the offer. Will you sign off on it and stuff like that? So
you just got your master's in real estate, agent offerings. As a guinea pig.
But I didn't need all the
you didn't need the traditional elements of it.
Yeah. So if you want, Tara can't touch what Keller Williams can do when it comes to that daily checking in on you. Like if you want to go be a sales agent, you may be, people out there may be the kind of person that needs that a manager like breathing down your neck all the time. Because that's why they charge you those desk fees. It's to pay those people to be engaged with you and teach you and all of that. So it's just anybody that is out there that wants to go get their real estate license. I don't think a lot of people know what to shop around for a brokerage.
Yes.
Because a big part of Keller Williams' business model is just to
get those fees.
Is just to get people fresh out of getting their license.
Yep.
And they offer a lot. I'm not saying that it's ill intent, but you have a lot of options out there for brokerages when you get your license.
See what best fits.
Yeah.
Lotus Realty.
Tara Helgestad. If you're in Central Arkansas, she's amazing. I think getting your license would open up some doors. Some people I'd talk out of it. Because like if you were going to go wholesale deals, I would wait until you go to this conference.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll know a lot more about the sub 2 offers.
Okay.
Like you'll know way more than I do by the time you come back from that conference.
Right.
There are instances where it's beneficial to not have your license because once you have your license, you're a trained professional.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of disclosure, fair housing. There's all these kind of things that
whereas
come
a wholesaler
along with
doesn't have to deal with.
When you don't have a license, you can just go say whatever you want to whoever you want. It's freedom of speech, like constitutional right. But as soon as you get licensed in something, it's like
some chains
having
on you.
a engineering license.
Yeah.
Like for certain types of engineering, like
you can't sign off on drawings just like that.
Right. I can go sign off on whatever drawings I want.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, because
you don't have a engineering license.
Right. Yeah. It's like, now if I was fraudulently like stamping it like I had a license, it'd be like fraud or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so it would be a good question at this conference. It's like, should I get my license or not?
Yeah.
Because you open yourself up to some liability stuff as soon as you get your license.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the whole disclosure thing.
Yeah.
Is the big one.
Yeah, like most wholesalers don't have their license.
Yeah.
Because I can't go cold text and email, and like my marketing is limited because I have my license. I probably wouldn't do that stuff anyways. But and there's a lot more. When you're a wholesaler, you can just create your own paperwork and have people sign whatever. Yeah. Once you're licensed, I have to use Arkansas Real Estate Commission approved documents, and which is good, but it works well for me. But once again, I just don't think people, if you're gonna go get your real estate license because you think real estate licensing school, the class and the test are gonna give you like knowledge, it won't.
It's purely textbook.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like you're going to learn about like riparian rights and like all these archaic terms that no one even uses, because real estate's been transacted for a long time, right? So it does kind of have its own lingo, and they'll teach you that. Yeah. But you get your license, you don't know anything about, you've never even seen an offer. You've never seen a real estate contract. Yeah. Like they don't go over any of that stuff. That's all up to your brokerage. Yeah. So if you're going just for the knowledge, like it's not a good enough reason to go get your license, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree.
But if you're doing it because you plan on transacting a lot of deals, then it's worth it. Mm-hmm. But that's really just about like the only reason. Yeah. Or if you're going to do it professionally as an agent. Yeah. So, okay. So back to you. So you decide to buy this house from your in-laws, you separate the bottom, you Airbnb it out, and that's going well. Yeah. Nice.
Thankfully.
Yeah. That's great. You stumbled upon house hacking, and a lot of people do. Yeah. If I could go back and I had to start again from square one, house hacking would 100% be the way. Yeah. Anything less than 4 units or less, conventional financing, rent out all the other units and pay for your living expenses or cover some of your debt service.
Yeah, exactly. This case, we still maintain our privacy, so it works out nicely.
Yeah, it's incredible. So the goal is do you have your eyes set on property number 2 yet? Yeah. I've looked at several. Now I'm looking at the sub 2, back a little bit on the sub 2, how did people buy homes in the 70s when interest rates were in the double digits? Yeah. So sub 2 is not a new concept. Creative financing is not is not as new as people think. Right. It's just like, bell bottoms. It just comes and goes in trends. Right. Yeah. They're back.
They're back. So high interest rate environment causes people to get creative, and assets are still assets, and somebody's going to buy it. And, so that niche, to your point earlier, is going to definitely grow even more in this high interest rate, what some call high interest rate. We haven't yet reached double digits. Yeah. So we kind of had the easy money.
They'll give you double digits.
Yeah. We had the easy money for a long time. The last 10, 12 years, you're used to the 2, 3, 4, 5%. Haven't seen a true, 6%. If you look back just over 4 decades is normal. Is nothing too crazy. It's the inflationary environment that's definitely the combo of that is definitely hurting.
Right. Yeah. Historically, when we were at double-digit interest rates in the 80s, the income was much higher. Right. Yeah. Compared to now. Yeah. So I think it's going to hurt, but it's supposed to. We've lived without the pain for a long time. Yeah. And everyone knew the pain was coming, and here it comes. Yeah, it comes. But like I mentioned, having the lender on the podcast earlier, I was asking him kind of what he's seen with this this interest rate increase, and he doesn't have a crystal ball, but like what he thinks gonna happen. And he's been in lending since before 07, 08, and he's kind of seen
when it busted and all.
Right. And he's like, real estate's still going to transact. The wheel's going to keep turning. It's going to look abnormal compared to what we've seen the last couple of years.
Right.
But he was like, really, I think it's more normal than the last couple of years. Like the last couple of years are just wild. Like it was just crazy, right?
Yeah. People get whatever they ask for.
Yeah. And I think he was right, and I think you're right. It's like the transactions are still going to be happening. It's just going to be up to who can structure the deal most creatively to benefit both parties. You mentioned Robert Kiyosaki, so like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Liabilities and Assets. Sure. If you haven't read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Oh, yeah.
I've mentioned it a few times on here. Yeah. Great book on this. Because
I haven't read it yet.
It's a great book on this because it kind of lends to that creative negotiating. So he was a lead FBI hostage negotiator.
Okay.
And ended up working like international hostage negotiations.
Wow.
And the book applies those hostage negotiation tactics to business because the title of the book's Never Split the Difference. Okay. And his analogy is like in a hostage negotiation, we can't just do let's just meet in the middle, right? You send me half the hostage, I'll send you half the money, right? Like you can't do that.
Right.
You have to really get creative, think outside the box, and come up with mutually beneficial solutions.
Right.
And in my experience in real estate, that's when I've been able to get the best deals, right? Yeah. It's like you have a seller that's listed the properties for sale for a reason.
Yeah.
Chris Voss calls that information black swan. It's like, what is at the root? What's the root problem that I can solve for this seller that leads to us being able to do this deal in a mutually beneficial way?
Right.
Because it's easy to just look at it as they're asking $100,000. Right. I want to get it for 50. Maybe he'll settle for 75.
Yeah. And
sometimes it does, but like it leaves you both feeling like I paid more than I wanted, and he feels like he got less than what he wanted.
And that's the same principle of creative financing.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times a property, 100K, let's say it's been on the market, and a real estate agent's trying to sell, you get 90,000, 80,000. The owner is like, I don't want any of this. Creative finance guy says, well, I'll pay you 100. I might even pay you 110. Yeah. So your price, my terms, or some negotiable terms. So that's the cool thing about prayer. You're not feeling like you were hung dry just to get the sale done. Yeah,
it's just another tool in your tool belt.
Right.
The more of those you have,
right,
the better off you'll be, and the more successful you'll be long term. Because, like what I've been trying to do, not to talk about me, but this may be helpful.
Yeah,
is to create structures in my business that no matter what deal comes across the table, we have some way that it would work. Sure. Because the numbers are all different. Let's stick to solely single family, right?
Right.
But if a deal comes across the table, the numbers that I run for how to do that rehab, let's say, so one funnel that deals could come in that I move deals to is for long-term rentals. Well, I'm going to do that rehab numbers and stuff differently than I would for this funnel over here for like Airbnb. Right? Completely different rehabs, or for flip properties. Right? Like a flip's going to look completely different than my long-term rentals. I'm just going to do them in a different way. So that rehab number is different here in this funnel. Right. And then I've got my monthly rent based off of the long-term rent funnel that we're in. And that gives me an offer price. Right?
Yeah.
And it's different over here for like short-term rentals. And it's different over here for flips.
Right.
And then within those, you have different ways to structure those offers. You could creatively finance any of those. You could cash. And so it's just another, by building out these systems and processes and being able to run those numbers accurately, it comes out at the bottom, offer price for each different strategy, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then each of those also has like pros and cons for the seller. Because my financing dictates what I can offer the seller, right? Like some ways I'm able to structure it where I can offer them cash.
Yeah.
Through creative financing, I'm not offering them cash at all, maybe a little bit, like we talked about, but like I'm offering them a way out where they may not have another way out.
Yeah.
It's just it's a tool in your tool belt that will be able to get you a deal where it may not happen other ways. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because usually what happens is I'll run a deal through all these funnels and it's like immediately doesn't make sense for a long-term rental, right?
Sure.
Cash flow is not there. It immediately doesn't make sense for a flip because the property values in the neighborhood aren't where they need to be.
Yeah.
But hey, it makes sense at this price for a short-term rental.
Right.
I've got one of those right now on 10th Street by UAMS.
Nice.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I was going to have to put too much in it for it to be a long-term rental.
Right.
Too much money in and too low of a monthly rent.
But for a short-term rental.
And it wouldn't make sense as a flip because the property values aren't where they need to be to make the margins I need to make for a flip.
Right.
But as a furnished short-term rental in the proximity to UAMS, it's like
hospital.
I can afford to put more money into it and furnish it because as opposed to renting it for $750 a month as a 2-bed, 1-bath in not the best neighborhood.
Right.
Doesn't make sense for the $750 a month.
Right.
But the $2,150 I can charge as a furnished short-term rental.
Yeah.
The money I have to put into the rehab now makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and travel nurses, different people, UMS, Furnish Finder, that website.
Yeah.
They'll be all over that.
Yeah, so, started off as long-term rental only. Mm-hmm. And realized very quickly that, like, that's an incredible business. It can make you a lot of money, help you provide for your family, your business, your community, whatever. But all of a sudden, it's like you get into add some flips in there. Because, like, I've already built up my connections and everything for doing all the renovation work, finding deals, whatever. But I'm missing out on all these opportunities for flip projects because I haven't done it. So I just started doing it. Yeah. Found some success with that. So I still do some of those when those deals make sense. Yeah. Started finding out that, like, there's some deals that don't pass either of these tests that are slipping through the cracks. Yeah. But they work as short-term rentals, I think. So I'm starting to do some of those. Yeah. And it's like you
get a diverse portfolio.
Right. It's just adding all those. The more of those options you can have,
then any property that comes your way, you can funnel through any of those filters.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you'll now have some experience with conventional, traditional financing. Right. You go to this conference and, like, you get a ton of knowledge on sub 2, and all of a sudden more of these deals that you look at start making more sense and fitting this sub 2 model or the conventional model or.
Yeah, I was looking at one in Smoky Mountains.
Really?
That I could use a DSCR loan. Yeah. And usually they don't care about your DTI, but they do care about your credit score and the rental income generated. Yeah. So the credit score has to still be decent. Yeah. But they're not looking at your DTI. So it's like getting a second loan, but your interest rate will be higher. So the pros and cons of that loan, DSCR. Right. But you can still get good, basically you can get a loan. And then, so I was looking at that.
And get the asset is the main thing.
Yeah, to get the asset that generates cash flow. Right. And the other thing I did, speaking of tools, was I applied for business credit cards. Yeah. So I got 0% cards for somewhere up to 18 months. So let's say I go buy a property and I want to renovate it. Mm-hmm. I can have the contractor swipe that card. If I turn it around, which generally is not too hard within a year, then I had 0% money through the business credit card. Yeah. And I'm building my business credit.
And then once the property is renovated and rented out and quote unquote stabilized, then you can probably switch your DSR loan to something more conventional.
Yeah.
Lower interest.
Yeah, you can always refi it to whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many tool belts out there. Right. The destination vacations are a big one for the short term. That's why I was looking at the Smoky Mountains because that cash flow is higher. And there are some off-season times, but then when you average it out,
Right.
They turn out to be really good.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because we did a video recently where I talked about risk versus reward, and how it's like a lot of things. It's a bit of a spectrum, right?
Right.
So when we apply that to single family real estate investing, I put vacation destination rentals on the riskier end of the spectrum.
Sure.
Because they're typically more expensive houses with more expensive furnishings.
Sure.
And we're entering into a market where are people going to be taking a lot of vacations? People's belts are getting tight.
Yeah.
But they're typically, the reward can be great because, the weekend rentals can be expensive. But it comes with expensive management fees, expensive insurance. All of your expenses are higher. So I put it on the high risk, high reward side of things. And I put the like affordable single family on the low risk, low reward, you know, like all of my affordable rental stuff is like, it's not no risk. It's just lower.
Have you done any Section 8?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Do you have any of those myths come true?
Which ones?
Like they say, if you do Section 8, well, you're guaranteed the income because it's
basically
through the government.
Yeah.
And people want to keep the voucher, so they're not going to like tear the property apart or whatever. Or have you still had some bad apples?
Yeah, I mean, there's bad apples everywhere.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say my experiences with Section 8 is better than expected.
Yeah.
I had heard terrible things about their inspectors coming and just requiring a lot of ridiculous updates and stuff like that for the house to qualify. I haven't dealt with any of that.
Okay.
I'd like to think that it's generally because I try to not be a slumlord. I mean, I try to give people decent homes to live in and raise their kids and whatever.
Right.
So I don't know if I had just heard that myth from people that genuinely don't take care of houses at all.
That's a good point.
But so I don't know. I've had an overall very good experience with Section 8.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy in Sub 2.
Yeah.
And he's got several, and he said Ohio is one of the top ones.
Yep. I've heard that as well.
Yeah, he's got one there.
I know people that's all they do.
Yeah.
It's it's the main part of their investment thesis.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it probably to talk at length about it. I employ 2 different management companies and they handle the paperwork involved and that kind of stuff. I only hear about the stuff that goes poorly. You know, like that's just kind of the nature of being in charge. It's like I just get the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as the bad stuff pertaining to Section 8, it's very low.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be afraid to have my entire portfolio Section 8 because I'm probably just a little paranoid, like having the government dictate what they'll pay in rent and stuff like that. It just, I would not like to expose myself to the government's.
Just a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of it, it's like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's guaranteed for the most part.
Yeah.
As in the payment, the rent payment.
Yeah.
A bulk of I think they pay like what? Most of the tenants pay $100 in addition to whatever the voucher is. Or $150.
Yeah.
Something like
that. Some people don't get all of it paid for. Right. People get, based off of their inability to pay, they get a percentage of their rent covered.
Yeah.
So
your split is in what? You got some Section 8, some long-term, some mid-term, and some short-term?
Almost all long-term and a small percentage of that Section 8.
Okay.
Very small percentage in short term. Actually just like started trying that out.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about low risk educational foundational steps.
Right.
If I have a house,
yeah.
I mean the house that is close, it's you can view UAMS from the front porch.
Right.
I bought it for $18,000.
Nice.
It needed $100,000 worth of work.
Right.
But and furnishings and all of that, I think I'm about 118 into it.
Right.
But it's just about to get marketed for $2,150 a month.
Nice.
So
so you exceeded the 1% rule.
Yeah, almost doubled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 2%.
Yeah, that's pretty good in this environment.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, right? So it's like at the stage I'm at, I would classify that house as a low risk foundational educational step.
Right.
I've got one.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
Experiment a little bit with it.
How it goes. Yeah. If it turns out really well, then there's a couple more that I have close to there that when they become vacant, I may fix them up nicer and furnish them and capitalize on that opportunity to make more money a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's finding out, the term highest and best use when it comes to real estate is commonly used. What is the highest and best use for that property? Well, sometimes it's really hard to know.
Right.
Sometimes you have a pretty good idea, but it can be a little scary to take that risk of like, I'm going to take this $18,000 house. It's a total dump. And I'm going to make it nicer than every other house on the block.
But you raise the value of the other properties then.
Yeah.
Intrinsically.
And like on paper, it makes a lot of sense. But when you're spending the $100,000,
you're like,
it hits a little different, right?
Yeah,
you're like,
absolutely.
I hope this really does rent for the $2,150 that they think it's going to.
Right.
You don't really know.
Until, it's all said and done.
Right. Yeah.
Now, your doors, are they all in separate LLCs or how do you do your structuring?
Well, so I would not give this as legal advice. All of them are under one LLC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that LLC is owned by a different company.
A holding company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a holding company.
Right.
That's my main umbrella.
Sure.
That then holds interest in several other companies. And one of those companies holds the
bulk of your properties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an asset protection thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but
we learn and go. So.
Yeah, for liability reasons.
Yeah.
And for tax purposes.
Right.
So like my holding company, if I'm lucky enough that any of the holdings underneath it turn a profit, need to distribute money out.
Yeah.
It goes into the holding company, and that holding company, rents this office and runs stuff out of here that.
Yeah.
So
which is part of learning how to
stuff.
do real estate. That's the whole reason for real estate. Is half of it is structuring.
Yeah.
If you want to get the full benefit of investing in real estate, right? Part of it is your classic passive income, rental income, whatever, the classic, everybody gets excited. Oh, I got $200 positive after all my expenses from this.
Yeah.
But the bigger bulk of it is how you structure it behind the scenes so you can get that depreciation, you can get the tax benefits, which in all credit to the American tax code system is designed to benefit the entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly.
You could call it a loophole, you could call it whatever, but the tax code was written to incentivize reinvesting in the system. And those who do it, back to your reward statement, get the maximum reward. So you could hate Trump or you could hate Kiyosaki. It's like you created the system. You were just using the system.
Like Trump said to Hillary, it's like, I followed the tax code.
Yeah.
I didn't pay much in taxes.
Right.
It's like your donors don't either, right? That's what he was like. And you've been in politics forever. Why haven't you changed it? Oh, yeah, it's because your donors do the same thing.
And she does the same thing. But
yeah, well, so it was explained to me this way, and it was really helpful, right? And I've mentioned this before. But the way it was explained to me is they're not tax loopholes. They're tax incentives.
Exactly.
They're on purpose.
Yeah.
They're not loopholes that just get ignored and the
and
the
an IRS agent is just closing his eye.
Right. They're not just holes in the bucket. They're incentives that are designed to be there in the tax code. Yeah. And it's the government's way of incentivizing things that the government can't do well.
Yeah. Or they need a partner.
The government can't, bash Jeff Bezos and Amazon all you want.
Right.
They've created a ton of value in our economy. They provide a ton of jobs, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs. And because of that, their corporate tax bill's minimal.
Sure.
Because they are going out there and doing things in the economy that the government can't do. The government, I don't want the government to go hire however many Amazon employees there are.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't want to pay those people's salary.
Right.
When a corporation can do it, and like that money gets reinvested into our economy. It's like, you really want the government to handle all that money and like be sponsoring like butterfly gender studies in Japan or like, you know, like all this off the wall stuff that our tax dollars go to. Like, no, I don't like.
Yeah. You said it best. It's all in how you view it. So it's the entrepreneur, the true capitalist, whether we like it or not, gets the most benefit because it's incentivized to whoever puts back into the system. Right. It's a risk reward thing. You're like, okay, you took your hard-earned money, and you could keep it, put it in a savings account, but you went around and bought real estate, provided housing for somebody. So you're putting back in the system, and for that purpose, you get these tax benefits. Right. And that's all it is. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you can call it whatever you want.
It's easy to look at my tax bill and be like, oh, you're a portfolio company that, you know, did all this revenue, didn't pay any taxes. It's like, nope.
Yeah, but look at all the opportunities you created.
Do you want the government housing, you know, all these residents? Like, it's like, no, but I you know, helped keep a few people at a bank employed, you know, like I helped,
title companies.
Yeah. Like,
every place the transaction goes through, somebody's making some money.
Right. And it all just stays in this little, it stays in our ecosystem. It just, I think people get a really,
well, until you're in it, you don't understand. Most people, if you've never been in it, you're looking from the outside in. And so they're like, oh, your tax bill was $750, but look at all this money, man. Well, but look at all the headaches you took on. Look at all the sleepless nights you had. Look at all the challenges and
they don't see
back
any
of the wall corner you were in.
I told Aaron we should have this podcast when I'm in this office till 1 a.m. Like,
cracking your brain and figuring things out.
Yeah, it's like we should show all the boring stuff where I'm pulling my hair out and like, it's
at least you have lots of hair left.
When you do the, when you just get a glimpse of like these podcasts where it's like I get to talk to awesome people, it's just like
you think it's just all coffee and
I'm thankful for it, like living the dream.
Right.
But you know, most of the people that complain about billionaires not paying their fair share in taxes, they get a tax refund.
Right.
You know, like I remember looking forward to my tax refunds.
Right.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Props to you for getting one, but like. I just don't think you get to complain about how much I do or do not pay in corporate taxes when you're getting money back every year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, didn't mean to rant about taxes, but you're absolutely correct. When you're investing in real estate, there's a few different things to consider, not just the nuts and bolts of how to structure the deal.
Sure.
Not just the nuts and bolts of how to structure, the cash flow and whatever, but there's also kind of the back office stuff of, I mean, dude, I've bought a lot of houses from a lot of landlords that they still go door to door and collect cash from their residents every month.
Wow.
And, it's not how I would recommend doing it. Yeah. There's a lot of benefits that come through doing things the legitimate way.
Yeah.
And some of that is for financing reasons. If you're collecting cash from residents and stuffing it under a mattress, it's going to be really hard to get a loan on your next deal. Yeah. When, you know, it may sound good, showing no income on a tax statement until you need to go get your next loan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So, I think I ran my own train off the tracks there. What were we, where were we at? We're talking about your deal.
Mine. And then we talked about your different filters and strategies.
Yeah. I think you're going to learn a lot at that Sub2 conference. I'm excited for you. If I can join, I will. And what you do, Toro? So you rent cars? You've got a few side hustles.
Yeah, 3.
Can we promote any of them here to try and get you some business? What about your your notary business?
Yeah, the cool thing about the notary one is I get in the middle of all kinds of crazy transactions. The other day I was in the middle of a $1.5 million transaction.
Yeah. For a house?
Well, it was a commercial property.
Okay.
And without giving too much away, but the people who were leasing a building, their business is doing well.
Yeah.
So they don't want to lease anymore. They want to buy their own property and build their own property.
Mm-hmm.
And so the commercial real estate agent, who I got to know, it just so happened in this transaction, his dad is the one providing the promissory note. So I notarized the real estate agent, I notarized the dad, and I notarized the 4 owners of the new property. And I found a private money lender, and the guy said, basically, next time you have a deal or something. So the cool thing about and then I've done a lot of estate planning, trust and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So my knowledge is growing. Hopefully I'm adding value, providing a service. I'm getting in the middle of transactions. I'm learning more, and which is what I'm excited about the license too.
Yeah.
Because I'll be getting in the middle of transaction.
It's another tool in the tool belt.
It's I like to think of it, the simple analogy is, how did Apple get in the middle of everything? Now there's Apple Pay, there's iPhones, there's iPods. What can you not, which most over 3 billion, I think they have users, Apple does, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine life without an iPhone?
Nope.
Or the equivalent of? Because they're in the middle of everything. So if you're in the middle of the transaction, you get part of the transaction. And that's the moral of the story.
Yep.
You know, it's not because you're greedy or whatever. That's just how it works.
Right.
You know, you
it's
provide
the way
a service.
Of the world.
Yeah. Apple Pay is in there. You know, they're not a bank officially.
Yeah.
They're partnered with the bank, but they're in the middle of transactions. Same thing with PayPal. Same thing with Venmo. They're all
the conduit. The
facilitators. They're just a conduit, and they get a percentage.
Yeah.
You know.
I love the notary business because it's another one of those things, like I tell people, like low risk.
Yeah.
Like you put in the time and the money and the effort to become a notary.
Yeah.
Which just about anybody could do.
Absolutely.
Right? There's very little restriction on who can become a notary.
Yeah.
And it's something that low risk, foundational, educational, right? And like through doing the notarizing of things, you mentioned all those things. You get all those connections. You get to experience deals. Yeah. And through doing enough of those, you start kind of seeing how some things work, what the paperwork looks like, what contracts and stuff look like.
Build a relationship.
Yeah.
I had somebody call me back yesterday. He had an estate that in Massachusetts, I believe everything is an estate, even a small home. Yeah. It has to be put through an estate, and it's an attorney state. So they have to sell it. And we went over there and I did all his work, and he called me back. So he's repeat clientele now. Yeah. Because he has something else going on and he wants me to come help him out tomorrow. And anyway, the website is pleasantvalley.notary.com.
pleasantvalley.notary.com. Yeah. Need a mobile notary anywhere in Central Arkansas.
Call me.
One of the things when we met at the real estate meetup that I have a lot of people that want to talk to me about real estate. Sure. And especially the last handful of years, like everybody wants to get in on it, right? Everybody wants to like work with me on a deal or like, you know, come shadow me for a day or whatever. And I'm a very giving person. Real estate's been an incredible blessing in my life. So when somebody's like, their words say, I want to get involved or I want to learn more, I'm like, yes, I want to do anything I can to help facilitate you with that and help you with that. But what I learned is, and I had a mentor kind of help me with this, is like a lot of people say a lot of things. Right. And you can't want it for them more than they do. And I found myself in that situation a lot. Right. So my filter's gotten a lot better. And so when I met you, and it's like, okay, the proof is in the pudding kind of thing, right? Sure. Like, you weren't just some guy at a real estate meetup saying, I want to get into real estate investing. Right. It's like you had bought a house. Yeah. You were Airbnb being part of it. You were looking at other deals. You're going to this Sub2 conference. It's like the actions are there. I don't want it for you more than you want it for you.
Sure.
I want it for you, but like,
hopefully I needed more
right,
for myself.
You're going to do it with or without me.
Right.
Because you were already doing it without me.
Right.
So it's like, when I hear stuff like that, it's like, that's somebody like I will go get coffee with. I will try to help if there's
action takers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, all that to say, like, props to you for like doing all of it and continuing to look to improve and learn. And I mean, it's obviously served you incredibly well and will continue to do so.
Yeah.
And so to give props to you and also just to encourage people out there, to try and be that way. Cause I try to be that way.
Yeah.
Not saying it's the best way, but like if you approach somebody that you think has more knowledge than you in an area, you will go further when it's like, here's some steps that I've already taken.
Yes.
And I'm going to continue on that path.
Right.
Would love to get some helpful knowledge from you or whatever.
Right.
If there's a convenient time for you.
Yeah.
Other than just going up and being like, hey man, can I shadow you for a day? It's like, you're not going to learn much from me for a day. It's part of why I started the YouTube channel. It's like, because I didn't get to this point earlier. So my mentor, when I was telling him I had this issue with people, he's like, put a small hurdle in their way. And those that get over the hurdle, then you give them a book to read. Yeah. And if they read the book and come back to you, then
it shows they're willing.
You know how many people read the book? Almost nobody.
The Chris Voss one?
Well, yeah, there you go. I gave you one. But if you give somebody a small hurdle and they get over it and then they come back to you, then you know you've got. Yeah. But so started this YouTube channel is one of the hurdles I'll give people. It's also a shameless plug. It's like, if somebody has a real estate question, now I can be like, I've got a video about that. Go.
Oh yeah,
check
I remember.
out the video.
You send me a link? So I guess did I pass the hurdle?
I do it subconsciously now.
I'm asking now that the show is coming to an end. Did I pass the hurdle that I watched it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You've conquered. You've conquered way bigger hurdles than any of the ones that I would give you. So, just wanted to make sure I gave you. Props because I find your story encouraging, and I hope you will stay on this path of self-discovery, knowledge and self-improvement journey that you're on. It's just exciting, and I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can.
Yeah,
so,
thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Delight. Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't too bad. You did great. Thank you all for watching, and for those of you listening, thank you as well. If you're listening, go check us out on YouTube. If you're watching, you can listen to us on Spotify. Find us across all social media at Hustle on Purpose, and I'll see you on the next one. Go out there and hustle on purpose. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video as much as we liked making it, be sure to check out another one. You've got one here. You got another one over here. If you want to listen to the podcast audio only, go check out the Spotify link in the description. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps us out a ton. And please hit the bell if you want notifications anytime we drop a new video. Hope to see you on the next one.